Isn't this just bizarre? I'm comparing two phones and neither of them exist. Okay, whatever. We know the rumors have leaked, and I've got a controversial opinion that makes a great clickbait title, so here we go. All over Twitter and Apple News, people have been saying that the iPhone 7 is going to be a boring upgrade. No one's gonna upgrade because the cellular bands being erased isn't a big design change. The front of it looks just the same, and no headphone jack. That sucks. It looks so much like the 6S. Who cares? However, tons and tons of hype is being generated by the iPhone 8, or whatever's being released in 2017, whatever the iPhone is that year. Maybe it's the 7S, maybe it's the 8. Someone thought it was 8, so we're sticking with 8. It's rumored that's gonna feature an all-glass design. That means the front and back, an OLED display, and wireless charging. Now, people really go gaga for these kinds of features, and they leave the 7 in the dust because it's been leaked so long everyone knows the 7. Now, let me be honest. In terms of the iPhone 8, I am not excited for an all-glass design because we've had one before. It's called the iPhone 4. They had glass on the front and back, and both sides now could shatter if you drop it. And glass attracts more fingerprints, and scuffs are easily generated on both sides. And it's a lot harder to get those kind of fingerprints and scuffs on an aluminum design like the iPhone 6 and the 7, which isn't out yet, whatever, we know. So I'm sure the iPhone 8 will look beautiful. It'll be razor thin, it's gonna have nice thin bezels, but I'd rather go for a metal build. It's more functional and logical. Now, the other big praise is that iPhone is finally making the switch to OLED, which is the far superior display type that Android phones have been using for years. It allows certain pixels to be on and others to be off. The Apple Watch uses this. The colors look more vibrant, and contrast and lighting works better on OLED. There's no argument the display type is better. The OLED is great. But hear me out, when you are using your phone, the screen is the screen. When I'm using my iPhone or iPad, I'm not thinking this is an LCD display or an LED display or an OLED display. Whatever kind of screen you're using, your eyes to adjust to it pretty quickly. And the iPhone and iPad screens we have now aren't bad. I'm glad they're making the switch to OLED later. OLED is better, but I'm saying they don't look like crap on the iPhone and iPad. The colors are just not as rich, and you can't save power as easily because you have to have all pixels on or all pixels off. When all of us have the iPhone 8 in 2017, I don't think we're gonna be using it thinking about OLED the entire time. You think, oh great, the display looks so much better, and then 30 seconds later you're gone. You've accepted it. Your eyes have adjusted, you're used to it now. That's not a feature, that's not an addition, it's just an improvement. It's made what's already there a bit better. And to me, the difference between LED and OLED is kind of like having 720p on a phone and 1080p on a phone. One's obviously better, but it's not a night and day difference. It's just, yeah, I think that one looks better a little bit, yeah. And the third big praise, the iPhone 8 is featuring wireless charging, like on the Samsung Galaxy phones. And again, I'm very glad they're adding this. It's a cool feature. I totally use it. But you know, the people who own Galaxy phones that I know aren't ready to buy a charging pad. At least they weren't that excited for it. They think it's cool and they think it's neat, but they're not ready to spend 50 bucks on something that charges their phone. I mean, in the end, how long does it take for you to take a cable and plug it in? And it's not like you're doing that tons of times throughout the day. You usually do that when you go to sleep, and then when you wake up, you unplug it, and that's all. And knowing Apple, I bet Apple's charging pads are gonna be closer to $80 or maybe even $100 just because it has Apple on it. I'm sure it'll work really nice and it'll feel premium, but it'll be expensive. Also, can I mention that what Samsung and other companies call wireless charging really isn't wireless charging? It's called portless charging. That's what it should be. Because wireless charging, the one they're referring to, still has a wire. There's just no longer a port you have to plug in. You're just dropping your phone, but that phone is dropping on something that has a wire. So I'd vote for us to please change it to portless charging, not wireless. We can call it wireless charging when it really is wireless charging. You know, you plug the outlet and energy emitter into the wall, and then when you walk in the room, your phone starts charging. That's actually not that sci-fi. We could see that in the next decade, in fact. But let's not call it wireless charging until it's officially here. Anyway, my point is about the iPhone 8 is that everyone's saying it's so cool, but it's not adding things that are functional uses. It's things that already exist and aren't gonna add a whole lot to your phone experience. And the things that they're talking about that are great for the iPhone already exist, and the people who have those features aren't that excited about them. OLED is like, yes, it's better. Okay, that's it. It's not something to go crazy over. It's nice, it's just not a huge deal breaker. Same with wireless charging. People think it's cool, but they're not ready to invest in that, and they don't have a problem with just plugging in their phone. That's not that hard. And a glass design has been done before, but it's not very practical or logical because your phone is so much more fragile and fingerprint sensitive. So why am I bashing an iPhone that hasn't even come out yet? It's because everyone's bashing the 7 and giving all the hype to the 8. And I think it should be the other way around. Mostly because the 7 is coming this year, so we can actually be excited for it and not be excited for a phone that's coming out in 2 years. The rumors about the iPhone 7 have been leaked everywhere. We basically know everything about it, and what we do know, I don't think is boring at all. So the design isn't that different. I don't care. What's wrong with the design? I like the design. The aluminum back, the curved glass. glass. It's good, so if it ain't broken, why fix it? And the features they are adding are useful and functional, except the headphone jack one that everyone's mad about. And by the way, I know other companies got rid of the headphone jack. You think I don't know that? I know that. It's just not a flagship company yet. Flagships are, you know, iPhone and Samsung. That's what 95% of the market uses or something like that. And yeah, I know other companies are getting rid of it, so you don't have to remind me. Yeah, the Oppo R5, I know. It got rid of it. Moto Z, yes. I listen to these things. Anyway, the iPhone 7 is gonna be great, and here's why you should be excited. Stop calling it boring. So number one reason you should be excited, because they're finally getting rid of the 16 gigabyte model. Thank you! Finally a phone that can record video for longer than 15 minutes. In a phone that doesn't say storage almost full when you've only used it for 2 weeks. Gonna start at 32 gig. That's a benefit for everyone. Good. The iPhone Pro, they're releasing a whole new lineup of iPhone. We're gonna have the regular one, the 7 Plus, and the Pro. That's great. Gonna have a dual lens camera, a higher processor, definitely more RAM, and a smart connector on the back that maybe third parties can use, kind of like the Moto Z backs. So you can add functions and accessories. That's the only logical thing I can think of for why they would put a smart connector on the back of an iPhone. Cases that snap on and make things run a lot better. Just like extending battery life or expanding storage. Apple could make the accessories themselves, and those implement really well, like we saw in the smart battery case. And with the dual lens camera on the iPhone Pro, I know other people have done it, but Apple knows how to take the most out of something. So when Apple gets a dual lens camera, you're gonna get some of the best photos ever taken on a phone ever. And I can't wait to test it out. If it's good enough, we might even record these tech videos with it. And waterproofing. It's rumored that they're probably gonna have either extreme water resistance or be completely waterproof, which means we can take videos with our phones underwater and not worry about throwing them in the washer, putting them in your pocket and washing your pants, washing the dishes with them. Cleaning them off is now easier because you can just hold it under the sink. That's a big feature for me. That opens up tons of doors. And of course, they're adding a 256 gigabyte option. Think of the storage. Think of how much you can do with that. I love all those features. There's nothing but excitement there, and that's why I'm not skipping the 7 to go to the 8 like everyone else is claiming to do. It's not boring, it's functional. It's not all about looks, which is funny coming from an Apple sheep, because, you know, Apple's about being pretty. Just because there isn't a huge design change, it doesn't mean the phone's not going to give you a major improvement over your last one. Kind of like the Galaxy S7. That's a great phone, and it's a great upgrade to the Galaxy S6, but design-wise, they don't look that much different, but one is clearly a lot more amazing. Oh, but it runs Android, so it sucks. There, I said it. Okay, good. We bashed Android in this video. So I know this is a controversial opinion. I want to hear your thoughts on if we should wait for the iPhone 8 or we should just treat ourselves now with the iPhone 7 when it comes out in September. And you know what I'll be doing. This is your Apple Sheep here, and I will see you in the next one.